Welcome to the world of sci-fi stories, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the channel. Enjoy the listening. The alien guardian was broken for centuries, until a human restored it and uncovered its secret, the mysterious failure in the vast reaches of the galaxy on a planet where ancient civilizations once flourished. There was a legend of an ancient being, an alien guardian, created to protect the galaxy from any threat. It was designed to be the ultimate defense, a machine powered by technology older than the stars themselves. The guardian stood at the heart of the Empire, a quiet sentinel that had never failed in its duty for centuries. It had been the protector, a silent observer of the cosmos, guarding against dangers no one could even comprehend. But now something was terribly wrong. The Guardian had failed, and no one could figure out why. Deep in the core of the alien city, a group of the galaxy's finest scientists gathered in a large circular chamber. The room was dark, lit only by the soft glow of alien technology. Scattered across the walls, they sat around a round table, their faces tense, eyes filled with worry. They had been working for days trying to understand what had caused the Guardian to malfunction, yet every test, every analysis, every strategy they tried led them nowhere. "We've examined every circuit, every component, every system," said Zorth, one of the senior engineers of the Empire, his voice low and filled with frustration. "The technology is perfect. The Guardian itself is in pristine condition. It should be functioning, but it's not." The others nodded in agreement, but the silence that filled the room only deepened the sense of unease. There was nothing they could do. The Guardian was their greatest asset. It was an impenetrable fortress capable of taking on entire fleets of invaders without breaking a sweat. Its failure was a mystery that defied logic, and the galaxy was vulnerable as a result. JF, a scientist from the northern sector, stood up and walked over to a massive holographic projection of the Guardian's central processor. The image flickered as the complex patterns shifted, revealing the intricate systems that made up the Guardian. But even this didn't help them. The malfunction wasn't technical. It was something more fundamental, something they couldn't explain. "It's as if the Guardian has lost his purpose," Jaff muttered, more to himself than anyone else. "But that's impossible. It was built with a singular purpose, to protect us, to defend the Empire. It cannot simply forget its function." The room fell into heavy silence. Once again, how could something so powerful, so reliable, just stop working without any clear reason? The Guardian wasn't just a machine. It was a symbol of their power, their strength, their security. Without it, the Empire was exposed, vulnerable. "The worst part," said Verks, the leader of the Council, "is that this is happening at the worst possible time. The Galactic Council has already started to stir. There are whispers of enemies gathering in the outer regions. We need the Guardian now more than ever." A quiet murmur ran through the group. The mention of enemies made the situation even more urgent. Without the Guardian, they had had no way to protect themselves from the growing threat at their borders. The Council's words echoed in the minds of all present. The Empire was falling. "Is there any hope left?" Zorth asked, turning to Verks. The weight of the question hung in the air. "We can't give up," VX replied. "We have to keep searching for answers." But despite their determination, time was slipping away. Every hour that passed without a solution meant greater risk. The galaxy was filled with unknown dangers, wars, chaos, and threats lurking in the darkest corners. If the Guardian remained inactive, the Empire would be left exposed to whatever came next. That was when Varric made a decision. "There is one thing we haven't tried yet," he said, his voice steady. The others turned to him, eager for any possible lead. "We will send for help." The room fell silent, and for a moment everyone stared at him, as if he had spoken an ancient forgotten truth. Help from whom? The Empire had always relied on its own strength, its own resources. To ask for help from outside sources was unthinkable, but Vex's eyes were unwavering. "We need someone who can see this problem from a different perspective, someone who has the ability to think outside of our methods. We need a human." A murmur of disbelief rippled through the room. Humans were primitive beings from a backwater planet on the edge of the galaxy. How could they possibly fix something as complex and powerful as the Guardian? But Vex reasoning was sound. Humans, despite their small stature and limited resources, had a unique gift, a gift for problem-solving in the most unexpected ways. They had a knack for fixing things that others couldn't even begin to understand. It was an oddity the aliens couldn't deny send. For one of them, Verks ordered, if anyone can figure out what's wrong, it's a human. So with no other options left, the Alien Council agreed they would send for a human engineer, a master of innovation and repair, someone who could look at the Guardian not as a piece of alien technology, but as a puzzle to be solved. And maybe, just maybe, this strange human could unlock the key to fixing the Guardian. If not, the Empire would fall. As the Council disbanded, the weight of their decision hung in the air. The future of their civilization now rested in the hands of a human, a species they had never fully trusted, but one that perhaps would be their last hope. The call for help, the Alien Council's decision had been made. Now all they could do was wait in the dimly lit chamber. Varric stared out of the window. At the vast expanse of space, the stars shimmered like distant memories mocking him with their tranquility. The Empire, the very symbol of power, was now in jeopardy, and he could feel the weight of it pressing down on him. With every passing second, the Guardian, their greatest defense, was out of commission, and the unknown enemies were already at their borders. "We've sent the message," Varric said softly, turning to the others. "Now we wait for the human to arrive. But how long will that take?" Zorth, the senior engineer, looked at him, a mixture of hope and skepticism in his eyes. "It's hard to say. Verks, humans live far from here on a planet called Earth. It could take weeks or even longer for one of them to come. And who knows if they'll even be able to understand what's wrong with the Guardian." Verks nodded, but he knew there was no time to waste. The decision had been made. There was no turning back. Back on Earth, in a small workshop cluttered with tools and parts of all kinds, a human engineer named Alex was just beginning his day. Alex wasn't famous, far from it. He was a simple mechanic, fixing everything from broken machines to old spacecraft. People called him when they had problems they didn't know how to fix, and no one had ever been disappointed by him. His skills were unrivaled, his ingenuity unmatched, but even he would admit he was a bit skeptical about the idea of receiving a call from a distant alien empire. The message came in the form of a strange flickering hologram that appeared out of nowhere in the middle of his workshop. At first he thought it was some kind of joke, maybe a prank from his friends, or an advanced advertisement. But when the hologram began to speak, his eyes widened in disbelief. "We are the Empire," the alien voice said, deep and resonant. "We seek your assistance. Our Guardian, our protector, is null-functioning, and we need your help to repair it. You are the only one who can fix it. Please respond." The message was followed by a brief pause, as if the being on the other end was waiting for a response. Alex stood frozen, staring at the hologram. Was this real? Aliens, he'd read about them in stories and seen them in movies, but to receive a direct message from them was hard to believe. Yet there was no mistaking the sincerity in their tone. Still unsure, Alex took a moment to gather his thoughts. "Okay, wait a minute, this is a joke, right? I mean, who the hell are you guys?" The hologram flickered for a moment, then a different voice spoke, calmer, more reassuring. "We are not joking. We are the last hope for our civilization, and we believe you are the one who can fix what is broken." Alex's skepticism faded slightly. He had worked on everything from broken-down cars to space shuttles, but he had never been contacted by anyone or anything like this. He had no idea what kind of technology the aliens possessed or how he could help, but the idea of working on something this big, something that could change the fate of an entire empire, was too tempting to ignore. "All right," Alex said, his voice filled with determination. "I'll help you, but you better make sure you send me everything I need. I don't know what I'm walking into, but I'll fix it." The hologram flickered again, and a soft glow enveloped Alex's surroundings. "We are sending coordinates. Prepare yourself. We will assist in your travel." And just like that, the message ended. Alex stood there for a moment, staring at the empty space where the hologram had been. His heart was pounding in his chest. This was real. The universe had just opened up in front of him, and he had been chosen to be part of something far greater than anything he could have imagined. Within hours, the alien ship arrived, a sleek metallic vessel that seemed to defy all human understanding of engineering. It landed in a remote area away from prying eyes. Alex now fully dressed and equipped with a small pack, stepped onto the ship feeling the weight of the unknown pressing down on him. He didn't know what he was walking into, but he knew one thing: he was about to embark on the most important mission of his life. As the ship took off, leaving Earth behind, Alex looked out the window at the vast expanse of space. Stretching out before him, his mind raced with questions. What was wrong with the Guardian? How could he possibly fix something so advanced? What would he find on this alien world? But as the ship accelerated toward its destination, one thing was certain: his life would never be the same again. The fate of an entire galaxy now rested in his hands. Enter the human hero. Alex's journey through space was nothing like he had ever imagined. The ship, a sleek alien craft that seemed to glide effortlessly through the void, hummed quietly around him. The interior was a far cry from any human spacecraft he'd ever been in. It was a blend of organic shapes and advanced technology, with soft, glowing lights that seemed to respond to his movements. The air felt different here, more alive, almost as if the ship itself were breathing. He had been briefed on very little. The message from the aliens was short, to the point, and somewhat cryptic. Repair the Guardian, they had said. But what did that even mean? What was a Guardian, and how was he supposed to fix something that had baffled the galaxy's most brilliant minds? Alex sat back in his seat, staring out the window at the swirling stars. His mind raced. How was he in here? How had he gone from fixing engines in his small Earth workshop to becoming the last hope for an entire alien empire? The ship finally slowed, and Alex felt a strange tug in his stomach as the destination came into view. He looked out the window, his eyes widening at the sight of the alien planet below. It was nothing like Earth. There were no green fields or blue oceans, no familiar mountain ranges or forests. Instead, the surface of the planet was a swirling mix of alien architecture and barren landscapes, dotted with massive, imposing structures that looked both ancient and futuristic. The ship descended through the atmosphere, the view of the planet growing larger and more detailed with every passing second. They landed in a large open courtyard, surrounded by tall, looming structures. The ship's engines powered down with a soft hum, and the doors slid open. Alex stood, taking a deep breath as he prepared himself to step into the unknown. The door opened, revealing a group of alien beings waiting outside. They were tall, with sleek, silver-colored skin, and their eyes glowed faintly. They regarded him with an expression that was a mix of curious it and solidity. One of them, a female with striking blue eyes, stepped forward. She introduced herself as Sola, the head of the Alien Council. "Welcome, human," she said in perfect English, her voice calm but carrying a weight of urgency. "We are grateful that you have come. The Guardian is waiting for you." I still don't know what I'm walking into," Alex replied, his voice a mix of hesitation and curiosity. "Can you tell me more about this Guardian?" Sura nodded, her expression serious. "The Guardian is an ancient protector built long before our civilization rose to power. It was designed to defend our galaxy from any threat, an impenetrable force of nature. But for reasons we do not understand, it has ceased to function, and now we face destruction." Alex took a deep breath, trying to steady his nerves. This was it. The fate of the entire galaxy rested on his shoulders, and all he had was his knowledge of machines, his ability to think outside the box and solve problems. But this wasn't a car or a spacecraft. This was a galaxy-defining Guardian. "Okay, show me where it is," Alex said, trying to keep his voice steady. Sira leaded him through the massive complex. They passed by corridors lined with glowing alien symbols and rooms filled with strange technology. Eventually, they came to a large chamber at the heart of the facility. Inside, Alex's eyes widened at the sight before him. The Guardian stood, tall and imposing, in the center of the room. It was unlike anything Alex had ever seen. Its massive form, covered in intricate metallic plates, looked both organic and mechanical at the same time. There was a faint, dim glow emanating from its core, but it wasn't the bright, energetic pulse he had expected. The Guardian's once powerful energy seemed to be drained, its systems barely functioning. Sira stepped forward and placed a hand on the Guardian's chest. "This is it," she said quietly, "the protector of our people, but now it is nothing more than a shell." Alex stepped closer, examining the Guardian from all angles. His mind raced as he assessed the structure. It was obvious the Guardian wasn't just a simple machine. It was a highly sophisticated piece of alien technology, perhaps beyond anything humanity had ever conceived. There were countless layers of intricate systems within, and the sheer complexity of it was almost overwhelming. But Alex was used to challenges like this. If there was one thing he was good at, it was solving problems that others couldn't. He ran his fingers along the cold metal of the Guardian's arm, looking for any signs of life or malfunction. The alien council had told him that the Guardian systems were intact, but there was something else, something more subtle, that was causing the malfunction. Perhaps it wasn't just a mechanical failure all right, Alex said after a long moment, turning back to Sira. I need access to its central processor. If I can understand what went wrong, maybe I can fix it. Sira nodded and gestured to a nearby console, which came to life as she activated it. With a series of hand movements, the holographic display flickered and revealed the internal systems of the Guardian. Alex studied the data, his brow furrowing in concentration. The systems were still running, but there was something off, a missing link. That corrupted signal. The Guardian wasn't malfunctioning because it was broken, it was malfunctioning because it had lost its purpose, its connection to the universe around it. This isn't just a technical issue, Alex said, more to himself than to anyone else. It's a failure of purpose. Something's blocking its connection to its source. Sira's eyes widened. You mean it's not just a machine failure? No, Alex replied, his voice steady. It's like it's forgotten what it was meant to do. A chill ran down his spine as he realized the gravity of the situation. The Guardian wasn't just malfunctioning, it was lost, and fixing it wouldn't just be about repairing circuits or reprogramming systems. There was something deeper at play here, something that Alex would have to uncover if he wanted to restore the Guardian and save the galaxy. The alien Guardian secrets. As Alex stood in front of the alien Guardian, the enormity of the task ahead of him began to sink in. He had always prided himself on his ability to fix anything from engines to spacecraft, but this was something entirely different. The Guardian wasn't just a machine, it was something more, something ancient and mysterious. Alex had never worked on anything that seemed so alive, yet so broken at the same time. The air around him buzzed with a quiet hum, a distant reminder that the Guardian's internal systems were still trying to function, still trying to protect its creators, but it was as if something was blocking it from doing what it was meant to do. Alex took a deep breath and stepped closer to the massive structure. The faint, dim glow that once radiated from the core of the Guardian was barely visible now, and the energy it emitted felt weak, like a dying star flickering in the darkness. This isn't right, Alex muttered to himself. If its systems are intact, then something else must be interfering. Sira, who had been standing quietly by his side, stepped forward, her expression filled with a mixture of concern and hope. Can you fix it, human? Can you restore it to what it once was? Alex looked up at her. Meeting her gaze, the weight of the question pressed down on him. He knew that fixing the Guardian wasn't going to be easy. He could already feel the complexity of the situation. And the more he examined the Guardian, the more he realized that this wasn't just a mechanical failure. It was something much deeper, something hidden within its systems that only the keenest eyes could see. I'll try, Alex replied, his voice firm. But I need to understand more about how it works. I need to see its core systems. And I need to know how the Guardian was connected to the universe around it. Sira nodded and gestured toward a nearby access point hidden beneath the Guardian's arm. We've never been able to reach it, she said quietly. The core is sealed off, and none of our scientists have been able to unlock it, but you're the first human we've allowed near it. Maybe you can find something that we've missed. Alex's heart skipped a beat as he approached the access point. It was a small circular panel etched with strange symbols and alien markings. The intricate design made it look almost like a puzzle, one that had been waiting for someone to solve it. His fingers hovered over the symbols for a moment, unsure of where to begin. The technology was foreign, beyond anything he had ever seen before, but he had learned to trust his instincts. Sometimes the simplest solutions were the ones that worked best. He reached out and with a steady hand began to carefully manipulate the symbols, pressing them in a sequence that felt right. To his surprise, the panel responded, and a low mechanical click echoed through the chamber. The symbols on the panel shifted, rearranging themselves into a new pattern that seemed to glow with energy. It was as if the guardian itself was reacting to his touch, waking up just enough to allow him to proceed. With a quiet hiss, the access panel opened, revealing a small compartment. Beneath it, inside, was a tangle of cables and strange glowing conduits, but at the center of it all there was a crystal-like structure pulsating with a soft ethereal light. It looked fragile, like it could shatter with the slightest touch. "This must be the heart of the Guardian," Alex whispered, awe in his voice. Sierra stepped forward, her eyes wide with wonder. "It is," she said. "That crystal contains the Guardian's connection to the universe. It channels the energy that powers it, keeping it alive, but it's been corrupted." Alex knelt down and gently examined the crystal. It was like nothing he had ever seen before, smooth yet rough in places, as though it had been worn down over millennia. There were cracks running through it, tiny fractures that seemed to pulse with dark energy. He could feel the power emanating from it, but it was dark, twisted, and chaotic. "This is where the problem is," Alex said, pointing to the cracks. "The crystal is corrupted. It is blocking the flow of energy." Sierra's face paled as she listened to Alex's words. "Can you repair it?" Alex thought for a moment. "It's going to be difficult. I've never worked with anything like this before, but I think I can fix it. If I can stabilize the energy flow, I can prevent the corruption from spreading further." Sierra nodded, her voice barely above a whisper. "Please, human, you are our last hope." Alex reached into his pack and pulled out a few tools. He wasn't sure if they would even work on such an advanced alien system, but he knew he had to try. Slowly and carefully he began to work, using his tools to carefully manipulate the crystal and the conduits around it. His hands moved with precision, his mind focused entirely on the task at hand. As he worked, he felt a strange connection to the Guardian. It wasn't just a machine. It was a part of something much larger, something connected to the very fabric of the universe. Alex couldn't explain it, but he felt it deep in his bones. The Guardian wasn't just a weapon or a protector. It was alive, in some way connected to the energy that flowed through the galaxy. After what felt like an eternity, Alex finally managed to stabilize the crystal. He gently placed a hand on it, and for a moment everything was still. Then the crystal began to glow brighter, its light pulsing with a steady rhythm. The cracks that had once marred its surface began to close, slowly at first, then faster, until they were completely healed. The entire room seemed to hum with energy as the Guardian systems slowly came back online. The dim glow that had once been barely visible now burned with an intensity that filled the chamber. The Guardian's power was returning. Sierra stepped back, her eyes filled with awe. "You did it," she whispered. "You fixed it." Alex stood up, wiping the sweat from his brow. "It's not fully fixed yet," he said, "but it's a start." As he looked at the now restored Guardian, he realized that this was only the beginning. There was still so much to uncover, so much about the Guardian that was hidden. But for the first time he felt a sense of hope. Maybe, just maybe, he could restore the Guardian to its full power, and if he did, the galaxy would be safe. Once more, the critical decision. The hum of the restored Guardian filled the chamber, its glowing core pulsing with newfound energy. Alex stood there still, absorbing the magnitude of what he had just done. The cracks in the crystal had disappeared, and the Guardian systems were stabilizing. The once fading energy was now flowing freely, and the Guardian's imposing figure had begun to radiate strength again. But even as the Guardian's power returned, a sense of unease settled in Alex's chest. The